Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I was so excited when I first found the clip that I'm going to talk about today. When I first found this and I actually watched the video on YouTube, the links will be down below. Uh, I was so excited to get out here. My hands were almost shaking. It was one of those times that I just couldn't wait to do this video. I just had more and more ideas what I want to talk about as I watched this video. I put down notes here and I'll probably skip all over the place, but I am so excited to talk about this video. This is one of the videos that I really pray that people watch, but if they don't, so what? You know, it's just, I'm just happy to do this video. I'm excited to do this video. Who's it about? It's about Bam Margera. This wasn't on TMZ. This is just something I came across. Bam Margera did I guess he called up this radio station. He's friends with these radio jocks, and he called to be on the show, and they had him on the show. I assume this is in Philadelphia. It's the Preston and Steve show. Now, this was just yesterday, Friday the 5th, and he did this interview. I'm assuming it was in the morning show, maybe it was in the afternoon. I don't know, but it was just yesterday they did this video. Like I said, and the clip is from YouTube. It's a 4-hour clip, if I'm not mistaken. It's their whole show. And he's right about in the middle of it, so you could skip about. I didn't time it out. Maybe I should have timed it out. It's around. It looked like it was about halfway. You'll see Bam pop up, and you could extrapolate there. You know, he's in a section of this video. And as I watched this video, I got so excited watching this. I actually like Bam Margera. I like him. As I watched his face, I watched his eyes, and what he talked about. There were times where. I was like, oh my God, he's still there. He's in that spot. I remember being in that spot, you know, because okay, so he goes on this show yesterday on this radio show, and he's got 45 days clean, and you know, and I thought about this too. I was like, I bet you there's a lot of people that tune in just to see Bam fail, and I started thinking about that. And then I thought about me. I was like, oh my God, I bet you there's people that watch my YouTube channel just to see if I'm really clean. Some people can't believe it. Some people have never experienced it. Some people are envious or they don't understand it. And I was like, as I watched him, I started thinking, I was like, you know, because I was like, you know, they were taking calls into the radio show, and there was people that were ambivalent about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I bet you there's people that also watch my channel. And that kind of made me understand some of the haters, some of the comments I get down below. There's people I think they just don't understand, or maybe a little bit, they just don't think it can happen. They don't think what I'm saying could actually be true. And that's too bad. It really is. I wish you could. As I watched this video, man, I looked at his eyes, I looked at his face, and I'm 100% certain that Bam Margera is what he says. He's clean and sober. Like I said in the last video, you could see this on his face. You could see it in everything he talked about. Like before, when he was using, I remember one clip I did where he was in a car just about 2 months ago. He was in a car with 3 of his buddies. And he's hanging out the window, and his voice was raspy. It had that bourbon sound to it, bourbon voice. You know, smoking bourbon voice, and you know, and he thought he was funny, and you know, and his hand gestures are over articulated, and you know, and I remember being that guy, and it's easy not to like him, you know. I remember every video I watched before today, I was like, geez, he's kind of a jerk, you know, if he just got clean and sober. And today, when I watched him, I was like, you saw the real Bam. You see the real Bam. And it's like, I honestly like this guy. This guy, he's a good guy. You know, I could see it. There's a few times in this clip where he kind of zones out. And I could see this, because I think it's Preston. There's Preston and Steve. And I think Steve's the one wearing the black shirt. And I believe he's in recovery too, the way I understood this interview. And Preston obviously has much more experience, years of recovery. And you could see Bam kind of, you know, like he's not grasping what Preston. I'm understanding exactly what Preston's saying, but Bam's kind of zoning out, and he's going, yeah, you know, and he's agreeing, and you can see his eyes glaze over, you know, and that's understandable, you know, because you know he's, you know, it takes a long. I'm still learning. I'm going to talk about something that happened to me yesterday. I'm coming up on 17 years. October 23rd will make 17 years I've been clean and sober, and it's still an ongoing process for me. I still have to remember every day that I am an addict, that I cannot pick up. I can't, I have to be careful. I have to know my triggers. After 17 years, I cannot forget this. I remember being in AA meetings and NA meetings, and I would listen whenever I heard a story, whenever I heard somebody talk that had like 25 years clean and they relapsed. I would listen so intently because I was like, oh God, when I get to, if I'm so lucky to make it that long, I have to learn. Let me learn from this guy how not to fall, after that much time. And I'm still learning. It's something that happened to me yesterday. I realized they talked about alcohol and drugs being a symptom of what's really wrong with you, covering up something. And I've talked about what happened to me when I was younger, and I think that's just part of it. I was very insecure. I didn't know who I was. I was a quiet guy, and I didn't like who I was. I wanted to be somebody else. I wanted to be the loud, life of the party guy. And now I'm happy with who I am. I am who I am, but I'm still insecure. And I noticed, I'll talk about this at the end of the video. Okay, so this is, I don't know, it's probably about maybe 45 minutes Bam's talking for, maybe, in the middle of this clip. And, it's this guy is me. When he was using, he was me. He talks about the show Jackass, and he still harbors a lot of resentment. And Preston brings this up, and both the jocks bring this up, because it's obvious. He's angry at his ex, because he says, his ex didn't answer the phone when he was in rehab. And as you get further in, you start to understand. You forgive people, and you realize they have their motivations, and it's not all about you. The reason she wasn't answering her phone, she was probably protecting her child. She wanted what was best for her child, and she was so used to Bam failing that she didn't want to keep taking his calls and get her hopes. That's what I see. But Bam sees something else, and he's still angry about Jackass. He talks about being in the airport. In the first Jackass movie, they loved it. They said it was him being intoxicated in the airport. And he talks about how they loved that. And then the second Jackass, they were making him take breathalyzers and all this other stuff, and how it changed and how he became a liability. And once you're in recovery, you start to you let go of all that and just accept yourself. You are who you are, and people can take it or they can leave it, and that's up to them. And you see, you forgive people. You can't. The longer you carry grudges and you're angry at other people or blaming other people, the longer it's going to eat at you. And you can still see he's doing that. He said something else that's interesting in this video. Bam. I did a video here where I talked about, people used to tell me that my emotional growth stopped when I started using and drinking at like 15 years old, and then I got clean at 40. So, and it's like, I didn't want to believe that. I didn't believe that I was, if I was a 40 or 42, when I first got clean, that I was emotionally stunted, that I still had the brain of a 15-year. I did not want to believe that. But now I see it. It's taken me, it's like mentally I'm still catching up. Even with finances and stuff, I'm putting back together the mess I made. I'm starting to learn. I didn't even know how to use a credit card. When I first started dating the women I dated, I had no idea. I was 47 years old, and I had no idea. I never had I had a credit card when I was 21, but after addiction, you lose it. Your credit goes to hell and everything. And I didn't know how to use a credit card. I'm sitting there in the restaurant, and they bring the bill and you sign it and add in the tax and everything, and I had no clue how any of that worked. I felt like a child sitting there asking questions at 47 years old. And at first it's embarrassing, but then you just accept it for what it is. I have to catch up. It is what it is. And he talks about this. Bam talks about this. He talks about how when he was 15 years old, he thought it was hilarious when he pulled up to a Wendy's and he ordered a milkshake. And then he yelled, "Fire in the hole!" And he threw the milkshake back in through the drive-through window. I never knew he did that. I just heard that in this video. And now he says at 42 years old, he can't do that. People don't think that's funny, and he's just coming to the realization that, you can't, it's a revelation to him that he can't do the things that he did when he's 15 years old anymore. You know what I mean? And I see him talking, and I'm like, oh my God, he's starting to, he's starting to realize all that time he missed through the drinking and the using, and and he's realized he's a different person now, and and people are expecting different things from him. If you can't, of course you can't act like you did when I can't act like I did when I was 15 years old, and yet I still do sometimes. I think some of it's a blessing, because I think I act younger, I dress younger than I think most people my age. I feel younger. I think some of it is kind of a blessing, because I don't accept what people say I should do. The way I dress and act and talk the way I feel to some extent. And I think some of that's that's the way I look at it today. 5 years from now, I could look back at this video and say, boy, was I an idiot. I was still immature. And I realized that I'm still growing. Okay, so at the beginning of this video, like I said, Bam is me. When he was using, he was me. The reasons he used, just because he was a movie star or whatever, I mean, we're identical. And now that he's in recovery, he talked about this. He talked about how he has a regulated day, and he gets up and goes to the gym. He does the same exact thing I do every day. Like before, my life was chaos. I would fall asleep. I remember waking up. I told you guys this before. I was so messed up. I would fall asleep. I'd wake up. I was using everything under the sun. And I woke up, and I looked out the window, and I saw cars on the highway, and it was light out. And I couldn't quite see the sun in the sky because of the roof and the trees and everything, but I could see the cars. And I thought to myself, it's either 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening, because people are either going to work or coming home from work. But I didn't know which one it was. I had no idea if it was 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. That's how, it's a terrible, it is a god-awful feeling. It feels like you're in a nightmare. Because reality you start to lose a grip on reality. I didn't know if it was, it might sound a little funny at first, but when you experience that, it's not funny. When it happens, you feel so disconnected. There was really a moment where, I couldn't tell. After a while, you look at where the sun is in the sky and you see what's on TV, and you could extrapolate, what day it is and what time it is. It takes you a while. But at first, I had no idea. Okay, so he talks about this, and he's so excited about it. He says he loves doing this now. He gets up, he says he goes to the gym, and he used to hate going to the gym. And, and then he says, well, after he does it, he's like, boy, I'm glad I did that. And that's the reward. Nobody really of course, I get up, I sweat and groan and push myself to ridiculous lengths every day. At 2 a.m., at 3, do I like it? Not at all. Every single morning, I still make up excuses. The first thing that goes through my head is, well, I could stay in bed for this reason or that. Every single morning, I still do that. But I get up because I'm scared that if I start doing it one day, I'll lose this rhythm, this regulation. And he talks about this regulation now. He talks about how he's lost 100 pounds. And I lost 100 pounds when I first got clean and sober. Bam is me. And this is the thing you find in recovery. They call it a fellowship. Because at first you think you're so different than everybody else. At first I thought I was so different, that I had so much of a tolerance, or I had so much weight and size to me that I could handle this much or this amount of this substance or that substance. And then I felt like I was the only one going through this. And once you get in recovery, you see this it's a disease, and you're all going through the exact same thing. They call it, that's what they call it, a fellowship. I swear to God, I've been getting goosebumps all morning. You can tell I see I'm running along now. All right, let me talk about this. Yesterday, like I said, I know I've grown a lot, but I used to be very insecure. Like I don't think people realize, like I sit here and I'll talk about, lifting and my muscles, I'll kid around, but I still don't see myself that way. I went into a Dollar General on my bike. I went for a bike ride yesterday, and I went to a Dollar General, and it's going to rain. It was going to rain here yesterday. I was going to watch movies, and I wanted some snacks for when I got home. And I bought some snack puddings, some Reese's peanut butter cups, and I bought a little Philly cheesesteak, like a half grinder. And I go up front, and I got my backpack on, my riding gloves, my tank top, I'm all, my riding shoes and everything, I'm all decked out, muscles all like this. And there's a woman in her 30s or 20s or 30s at the register, and there's a woman, she's in her 60s or 70s behind me. And the woman at the register says, she comments on what I'm eating, she says, she says, you got your snacks for today, and I realize how I still have this tendency to eat like I did when I was 15. And I said, yeah, I work out a lot, but I said something, I said, I don't eat healthy. That's all I said. I don't eat that. I said, I have a habit not to eat that healthy. And she says, but you look so healthy. And I look at her, and I look at the guy, and the woman next to me starts saying that too. She said, oh my God, do you work out? Do you lift weight? You must lift weights. And I see the way they're looking at me. And when I work out now, I still think to myself, it's like body dysmorphia. I mean, you might not realize this. I might look like I'm confident or arrogant or something, but I still look at myself as overweight. I still see myself as that overweight 13 or 14-year-old quiet kid. I'm still that kid. And when these women said that to me, that it was obvious, that they looked at my arms, and they it's obvious that you work out, that you live healthy. I'm like, wow, they can see this, and I know you guys you might not even believe this, but that's the way, when somebody says that to me, I'm amazed, because I don't think they see that. I think they see me the way I see me sometimes, or most of the time, as that fat little 13-year-old quiet kid, and I walked out of the store. And times like that, it feels good, but it's weird. It's like, wow, they can see, they see this muscle and the size. How do I look to them? Because to me, I still feel like a chubby, overweight, insecure, quiet 13-year-old kid most of the time. It's like I'm doing all this working out, but I don't see the changes. I don't see this. I kid around about the muscles, and well, I can intimidate these people and that people. And I see that I can do that, but there's some level of me that just doesn't believe it. It just is amazed by it, And this, I don't know if you can relate to what I'm saying, but this just happened to me yesterday. And I realized that I don't see myself, most of the time, I don't see myself the way other people see me. And it amazes me when they say something like that. Oh, you're a big guy, and the muscles. And a woman said that just about 3 days ago in the library. She says, oh, you ride your bike? She walked by me, and she said, oh, you got big muscles too, or something like that. And it freaks me out when people say that. I'm amazed that other people can see it. I still see myself in that insecure way. And that makes me realize that I am susceptible, that underlying issue still is there. And I have to be careful. The disease is still there. The reasons I started drinking and using are still waiting. There's still issues in there. And I have to watch myself. I have to do what I need to do every day. Anyway, watch the video. I love this video. Bam's a good dude. I pray for him. You could see in his face, he's clean and sober. Recovery is possible, without a doubt. I was thinking about leaving my email. Bam, if you watch this video, I want to talk to Bam Margera. I think I'm going to leave my email in the description down below. You guys, the link will be down below in the YouTube video. Have a good Saturday.